Welcome to
Welcome.
another Breaking Mental Chains Facebook Live. We welcome you all. We want you to come on in, join us. We're so excited to have you here.
Yes.
I'm so excited to be doing this. We are here every third Saturday of the month at 7:30. That is our Facebook Lives that we come to do this to help hopefully talk about those things that keep us emotionally and mentally bound, and we want to loose them chains. No more shackles, no more chains.
Absolutely.
No more shackles, no more chains.
Hey.
Yay! So today we're talking about um you dang, I forgot the top, but I got so excited to see Keisha come in. I'm at a loss for words. You are not the underdog. That is our topic tonight. Okay, we're going to talk about inadequacy and being overlooked and feeling like the underdog and feeling a little inferior. But before we get started, for those who this is your first time tuning into us, this is Becoming a Being, and we are here and committed to helping people heal from their hurts and their past so that they can walk in their purpose and live life abundantly, whatever that abundantly may be. Okay. And so we are here every third Saturday, again, talking about those things that have hurt us, talking about those things that have affected us, caused us emotional and mental anguish that is causing us not to be able to, live freely. And so we're going to talk tonight about being the underdog. We've been on this series of rejection, and rejection comes in many, many forms, and not being picked is just one of those forms. And that's what we're going to get into tonight. We're going to be sharing some stories. And so we are here to share our stories, be transparent, in hopes that we can help others that might be going through these things. Okay. So we're going to talk about what it feels like. We're going to talk about what you can do about it. We're going to talk about how you can heal from it. But before we get into tonight's topic, I want to introduce to you my panelists, co-hosts, is what I'll call them both tonight. We have, our infamous Dion Coates. Welcome,
Woo!
Dion.
Peace. Peace. Yay.
And I am too hype because I got Keisha. I
Yoo-hoo!
let me tell y'all,
Yay.
I love me some Keisha. She's so sweet. All right. And so when I put this together tonight, I didn't really know about, like, I didn't have no panelists. And I said, well, you know what? I don't necessarily need any panelists because I have a story to tell about being the underdog and feeling like I'm overlooked. Dion has a story to tell. We'll just get on here. We'll share our stories. We'll share our stories of healing. And then today I go to see Keisha. We're talking, and boom. Oh my God, she's been right under my nose the whole time that I'm looking for a panelist. And I already know her story. So it was just so right and so beneficial and so on time for me to talk to her and get her to come on here. She's a little nervous, but Keisha, don't be nervous. Don't be nervous.
Welcome.
Welcome,
Welcome.
welcome. You will be just
Thank
fine.
you.
We're excited.
We are excited. All right, so you all know the routine. Y'all been watching me for a while. Don't leave me hanging. Show me some love. Say hi to me so I know you're there. I'm using an online service, so I can't see who's coming into the chat and who's not. So drop some comments, say hi to me, and give us some feedback. Participate in the conversation. We'd love to hear from you as we do this Facebook Live. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. We're going to start talking a little bit about being overlooked, because being overlooked is something where you can feel a little inadequate. inferior. You can feel like you don't fit in. And where does that come from? We want to talk a little bit about where those feelings come from. I want to talk a little bit about the fact that we feel this way, and sometimes how we feel sometimes comes from the lies we tell ourselves, just our misinterpretations and different perspectives of the situation. And we can cause our own self to feel inadequate when we really shouldn't. So we'll talk a little bit about that tonight as well as we'll get into what, some of the things that you can do to fight and heal from feeling inferior and inadequate. All right. So Dion, before we get started, anything that you want to
Yeah, just
add?
I was thinking about no matter how confident you feel like you are, or how smart you feel like you are, or what degrees you feel like you have, sometimes not being chosen always have a way of making you feel awful.
I'm sorry. Hi, BJ. Thank you for joining us. This is wonderful. Did I
And
disrupt you, Dion? I'm sorry.
that's all right. That's all right. And no one likes to feel the rejection of it all. Sometimes it's misplaced. And sometimes because of other people's inadequacy, they have a tendency to throw it off on you, and then you wind up carrying it. So that's something I hope we get into a little bit today, and we can you know sus- have a conversation on that, and know that because other people don't choose you, or because they don't understand the value in you, doesn't mean that you're not choosable or that you're not the right fit. It just means you're not the right fit for them, but you are the right fit for someone else. But that's a process.
It is a process. So I hope we get into as much as we can get into in an hour.
Yes, yes.
But I have, so even though I'm the host, y'all, I'm also a panelist. Like all three of us are panelists tonight. We're just going to have an open discussion. But I'm just going to right out the bat be transparent and share that I have felt inadequate. I have felt like I don't fit in. I have felt inferior to others. And it started from my childhood. In school, I felt like I didn't belong. Sometimes in my family, I felt like I didn't belong. You know, um, at the job, I felt like the underdog. And there's been times where I've actually voiced it, right? And had to have that conversation because I was feeling so inadequate. And then there's times where I have kind of felt like I was overlooked, or, I was the underdog, where I just really didn't say something. I just kind of let it go. But when we let those feelings inside fester for so long, um, it can really take a toll on your worth of how you feel about yourself, your confidence and your self-esteem. And so, it's really important that we get to a place where we're able to communicate and talk about how we're feeling, especially with the people that are making us feel this way. Now, it took me, I'm going to say decades, because I'm 45. It took me decades to really get to the point
Mhm.
where, I'm confident enough to go to someone and talk to them about how I'm feeling. But growing up in school and at home, like I just sometimes felt inferior to others. I felt inadequate to others. And, of course, as an adult, I begin to learn that everything that I perceived that may have caused me to feel a little insecure really wasn't that way, right? But it would take not till I'm an adult to have that conversation for me to get a different perspective to kind of change how I saw things. And so I do want to remind us that as we're having these conversations and we're telling our truths and we're being honest with you, this is not to throw anyone under the bus. Okay, this is just our experience that we're sharing. And we have to know that what we may have perceived in that moment that made us feel that way may not necessarily have been the reality. Okay. And so this is not to say that anyone is a bad person that was involved in us making us feel this way. And we don't want anyone to listen to our stories and walk away thinking negatively about anyone that may have been referenced, in our stories or whatever. But I'm going to share mine first. So, growing up, I grew up in a very religious household. We went to church all the time, and I will say that I thought it was strict. Okay, this is my perspective. Some people may not think so, but I thought it was really really strict. But one of the things that we had to do was we had to wear dresses all the time. And again, this is not to take away from where I came from because I love where I came from. It made me who I am. But growing up, going to school, wearing nothing but dresses all year round kind of made me stand out from everyone else because everyone's noticing that all I do is wear dresses. And so, they've got something to say. People are either teasing me, I was deemed the secretary and the librarian. And, there's nothing wrong with being a secretary or librarian. But, when I'm called these things, that wasn't really a good thing. Like, I don't want to be known as the secretary. Like, why I gotta be the secretary or the librarian? Like, that's all I'm good for because I wear a dress. Like, so you know, I love my friends from school. So if y'all are watching, I love you. It's okay. But in that moment of growing up and being teased for wearing dresses all the time, like it made me stand out from everyone else, but it also kind of made me feel like it kind of hurt my ego, if that's what you want to
Yeah.
call it. And I was a little insecure because I'm being noticed all the time for wearing these dresses. I was not like everyone else. I just did not fit in like everyone else. And it was just kind of awkward for me. And I think that started my whole self-esteem issues, right? Of,
Mhm.
of going to school and being different from everyone else because then we didn't celebrate a lot of the holidays, so then when you come to school, I didn't know, should I participate in Halloween or should I not? Should I participate in Valentine's and giving out candy or should I not? When you come back from Christmas break, everybody's talking about all the gifts they got. Angelina, what you get? Nothing.
Nothing.
Why you
Hmm.
ain't get nothing? I don't celebrate
You don't
Christmas. Why you don't
celebrate.
celebrate? Like, so
Hmm.
now I'm year after year after year, you're being badgered, right?
Hmm.
About not celebrating Christmas and not celebrating these different holidays. And that just continues to put me further and further a distance away from the
Sure,
people that
sure.
I'm going to school with. And kids like to point those things out. I'm just saying. So I think that started my self-esteem issues that I eventually had to work with. That's not all of my story, but I felt like I needed to pause. I needed to take a breath.
and and
Let y'all interject. My people out there, drop your comments in there. I want to know if you out there have y'all felt inadequate or inferior or kind of just didn't fit in with the cliques and the rest of the people. Like, tell me how you feeling out there. But was you about to say something, Dion?
yeah, I was gonna say that's so true because when we go to school, sometimes children can be brutal because for many different reasons. Like yours was because they thought you were a librarian and you wore dresses. Mine was because I had hazel eyes, light skin, and a little different hair than everybody else's. So people start, pointing the finger at you. Oh, you think you better than us, or you think you're cuter than I am because you got that light skin, or because you got those green eyes. Well, I didn't give them to myself. I don't. I mean,
Keisha got them green eyes too.
yeah, so children can be very cruel and mean, and they can help shape sometimes like your identity, because you take that stuff on and then you carry it, and here you are, an adult, still dealing with the bullies and the people that has bullied you and said things about you and made you feel a certain kind of way. And like you said, here you are decades later, still trying to dig your way out of that mess. And sometimes that's all it is mess. It's people perception of who they think that you should be or how you should act, based on you not being able to change anything, because that's who you are. That's who you were created to be. That's who God created you, and that's the family that He put you in. So yeah, kids can be cruel. Adults can be cruel too. So we have to be careful, because adults do the same thing, they just do it a little differently, but same thing. We teach who we are, so we teach it to our children bring it to school, and then they try to lay it in your lap and make you responsible for it. So it's interesting.
Yeah, so that was school, but I dealt with it at home too. And I
Hmm.
love my family. I do. And again, some things we perceive that really aren't the reality. And so for me, I felt like sometimes I didn't fit into my family because, again, I felt like I was different and I just didn't have the same interests as them. And so again, I was came from religious background. We went to church all the time, and I liked going to church, but not all the time. But my family seemed to love to go to church, and my sisters seemed to not have a problem with it. And but deep down inside, I had a problem with it because, again, me going to church all the time was making me different and stand out from everyone at school. Because when they get to go to these parties, I had to go to church. When they're going to dances, I had to go to church. When they're going skating on Friday nights, I got to go to church. Like, I wanted to fit in. I wanted to be with the rest of the crowd. And I couldn't understand like why y'all want to go to church all the time. And my sisters seem to be cool with doing whatever they tell you to do. But deep down inside, although I was being obedient till I got to a certain age.
You was a little rebellious. You was a little rebellious, no
Yeah,
doubt.
I was a little rebellious when I got to a certain age. That's probably why my daughter is the way she is now.
Yeah. We teach who we are.
Yes, but I need to not be like me.
Reciprocity is real.
Right. But I think some of that stuff began to weigh on me, and I felt like I noticed differences between the way we were all treated. Now, me and my sisters, we have the same mom, the same dad. We grew up in the same household. We did all the same things, and I was perceiving that my sisters were being treated differently than me. And again, this is my perception because I'm younger than them. I don't really know some of the stuff that they went through, or what my parents may have said to them, but I felt like my pop was really hard on me. To this day, I think it was a good thing because it really helped shape and mold me into who I am today. But at that time, his expectations of me, and I felt like he was really critical. Like, I always think about this, and I wrote about it in my book, how I wrote this speech for school, and I go to, and I'm proud of my speech. I'm like, yeah, I did this. And I go to let him read it, and he's like, I'm thinking like I did a great job. And he's like, kind of like, this ain't good enough. You can do better than that. You need to go back and write this and dig deeper, da 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 da. And it's kind of like, I was pissed, but I dare you better not talk back to Billy Cheers. Okay. So I went and did what he told me to do, but I did with an attitude. But then I came back, with a new speech, and then it's all good. But when you're kind of getting that criticism, right? Even though he didn't mean it that way. Like, I know now that's not how he meant it, but as a child, you're kind of taking that criticism and feeling like you're inadequate and you're not good enough, right? And then when it came to my sisters, like my sisters, I'm the youngest of the three. So when they graduated, like, I felt like my parents went all out for them. They got everything. They got the yearbook, the invitations, the class ring. Like, there was no problem. Whatever the parties, like whatever needed to happen, my parents did it. Then when it was my turn and I graduated, I felt like, well, dang, I'm having to pay for my own stuff and get reimbursed for it and stuff like that. But as a child, it's kind of like, why y'all doing me like this? Y'all didn't do them like
Mm.
this. Like, am I not good enough? Like, why I gotta pay for my own stuff? Why aren't y'all helping me out? Like, why am I having to take care of this? Now, again, my perception is my perception as a immature 17-year-old, not a mature 25, 30, 35-year old who can look back and see that there was some differences in dynamics in my family. By the time I graduated, my parents had divorced. So my sisters got to have two parents working together, bringing their money together, and paying for these things, versus my situation was different. And it really wasn't that my parents didn't love me, and it really wasn't that they didn't want to support me, but the dynamics is different. They're not together. They're not pulling resources together. You got a mom who's like a single mom now, having to pay these bills by herself and this, that, and the third. And, I could look back on it now and appreciate who she was. But at 17, I'm mad. Why are you dogging me
Mhm.
out? Why you ain't paying for my stuff? You understand what I'm saying? And so it was kind of those differences that I was seeing between me and my sisters that just kept fueling the already inadequacy that I'm feeling as I'm growing up, right? It's just keeps piling up, keeps piling up, and keeps piling up. And I remember talking to my pop when I was older. God bless and rest his soul. He says to me, we've got in a conversation of me, feeling like y'all show favoritism. And I feel like, the black sheep of the family, you know, I'm don't feel like y'all did me like them, this, that, and the third. And I remember him saying to me, um, well, he admitted, like, yeah, I probably do, show a difference in how I treat you all, but it's because I didn't think I ever had to worry about you. I just never worried about you. I just knew that you would always be okay. And
Mhm.
that was such a relief, I mean, that was closure for me. That was closure for me as to why growing up and even as we were older, why there he was so much more attentive to them than he was to me, and always doing some things for them and not necessarily for me. And it just to know that he felt like he saw something in me. Like, some people
Mhm.
could take what he said and really feel bad about that, right? But it
Mhm.
just made me it gave me closure to know I'm good. I'm good.
Mhm.
So
If I
that's
can
my story.
interject,
I got more stories, but I'm not going to be the only one to tell a story.
well, let me interject right there, Angelina, since since you were able to breathe. Um, and it's so true. And as parents, when you have multiple children, different children have different needs. So sometimes as parents, we have to be careful that we don't show too much affection to one kid or give one kid more than the other and not recognize all the children's needs and be able to deal with all the needs, because what we don't want to do is make them feel inadequate. And because we know the secret that they are strong enough to handle it, sometimes if we don't tell them that, then they don't know it going on, moving on in life. So then you carry the weight of, was I not good enough? Or why was I rejected? So we have to make sure that we communicate that so our children know, and then draw from their strengths and find times for them too, that we can make things special for them as well, so that they don't grow up and be inadequate individuals and human beings and feel like we dropped them. Because as parents, that's what we can do sometimes, and we don't mean to, but we should also make sure that we understand that we need to let our children know where they are, and what we see in them, and be able to motivate them all individually in their own place, space, and time, so that no one feels left out. So I just wanted to share that before you go on to Keisha and let her share her story, because I know she's waiting with bated breath to share her story.
No, no, I'm listening. I'm enjoying listening.
But we want to hear from you, Keisha, because you and I have had lots of conversations, and we have like some similar stories. Um, as far as
Mhm.
feeling like the black sheep of the family, and but I really wanted Keisha to come on here because I met Keisha like I think almost 2 years ago, but she ended up coming to one of my classes, and I mean, she's just one of my students that I am so proud of because she has really taken the teachings and she's taken my individual lectures,
Mhm.
and she's really to me is a um ashes to beauty story, right? When I hear about her story and how she's kind of felt as the in her family, I'm gonna let her tell it in her own words, but then to see where she was and then going through her journey and then where she is right now, I'm just so very, very proud of her. And I wanted to bring her on as an example of what I say. You can be the underdog, you can be overlooked, you can feel inferior, but that doesn't mean that's the end of your story. And you don't, and that doesn't have to be your circumstance. Like when you really put in the work to work on you, and we'll talk about the things you can do to kind of work on you. Um, Her story shows that is when you put your mind to it, you can do it. And so I just want her to be. I want a real life story of one of my students who did it. And I'm so proud of her. But Keisha, kind of just tell us a little bit um, about your feelings of inadequacy and where they've come from. Not that she's feeling it now, because again, you've gone on a journey, but back then, where did your feelings of inadequacy come from?
Um,
I don't want to put words in your mouth. Maybe you just felt overlooked. I don't know, but you tell us.
Overlooked is a good. I don't know. I just like you said in your family. Like my sisters, she's always been the pick of the family, and I was the youngest, so it was a little bit hard for me because I felt like I deserved the attention. I was the baby. Um, but just like you said, my mom, my sister was her favorite. So one day I asked, why do you always, do so much for my sister and not me? But she told me, it's because you're stronger than Keita. So back then I didn't understand, you know, I'm stronger than her. That's my sister. We both your daughters, you know what I mean? But
Mhm.
growing up, me being 32 now, I can see my sister is a little bit, she's a strong individual, don't get me wrong, but she's a little weaker than I am. So I didn't understand that then, but now I do. So I used to fault my mother for that, but now I'm like, yeah, she needed it. So that's one thing I used to feel, a little like I didn't measure up to my sister when I was younger. But during my journey, I'm a cosmetologist now. I just got my own salon, opened my own business.
Yay!
After struggling,
Congratulations!
thank you.
Yay! I'll have to come visit
After
you.
struggling and I have 4 children and just trying to go to school and take care of my family and take care of my mom because she's older. Her husband's passed away. It was a struggle for me. And even during my struggles, my family, my mother, she still took care of my brothers and sisters and still not me. So that's always been one of the things in the back of my head. Why not? Why can't I get the help? But it's all good. You know, I'm blessed and I deal with it.
You are blessed.
Amen.
And she's modest, okay? Because she's leaving out a whole lot because in this journey, I mean, she's been putting in some work. She's in nursing school and
Yes.
she's about to be finished here. She's got 1 quarter left. And in the midst of being in nursing school, one of the goals and one of those things that we always knew when I met her was that she was supposed to open up her own salon, right? And so she kind of put some of that stuff on the back burner. But with enough Angelina lecturing,
Yes.
she finally realized her potential and and part of her purpose, because we know that's not the end of where you're going. And she did that, bad boy.
Yeah.
And she opened up her own salon, which is probably like, I don't know, I'm just really proud of her. And I'm proud of you putting in the work and really working on who you are, discovering who you are. And the journey's not
Amen.
over, but but I just wanted people to see a real life person
Amen.
who's had to deal with not really being overlooked, whether it was for good reasons or not. It kind of makes you feel a certain way, and that messes with your self-esteem, and it messes with whether or not you feel worthy. And she fought through those feelings, and she went back to school again, about to get a nursing degree, and she's got her own salon. So kudos to you, Keisha.
Thank
Yes.
you. Thank
Yay.
you. Thank you.
Now, Keisha, before I let you go, because y'all, she's still doing hair.
Yes, I am. I'm
She
sorry, Miss Angelina. I didn't know what to say, but
No, you're great, but I just want you to tell the people how's that felt going through the journey.
um, what of school and
What
opening up the
you
shop?
just the whole mental emotional thing of trying to get past where you were to get to where you are right now.
Um, it was a struggle for me,
Sure.
mentally and physically because I had to put in so much work, and I had to do it by myself, and just trying to stay focused, just trying to know my goal and reach my goal, and surround myself with good people who could give me great advice. As yourself, I love when you come get your hair done and you talk to me, and you give me that boost I need, to go another day. So yeah, just keeping my mental and my focus and knowing what I'm going after and getting it done, not giving up.
Right. And so that power to not give up, would you say that you already was that something like down on the inside of you, or did you have to work and push yourself not to give up? Like, where did that fight come from?
I don't know, probably prayer. I pray a lot. Yeah, I could just say prayer. When I feel like I can't do it or I want to give up, I just pray, and I probably talk to my mom or talk to a friend, or you know, and try to just stay focused. That's pretty much what I did. I just knew what I wanted and I went after it. It was hard. It wasn't easy, but I feel like if you really feel like you deserve something and you're willing to put in the effort, the time, dedication, and you have the motivation, you'll get it done.
Y'all, and she did my hair tonight.
It looks good.
It does look good. It looks really good. I'm gonna have to come visit you, Keisha.
Yes, please do.
I
All
just
right,
wanted
Keisha.
to encourage you. I just wanted to encourage you too, Keisha, because I know with 4 kids, it's a challenge going to school and being an entrepreneur and trying to be a good mommy and trying to make sure that you don't put on your children what you feel like was put on you. But I just wanted to just remind you to always remember to talk to your children and to communicate to them, and remember how you felt when in those times, so that you can always put them first and understand where they are and carve out time for your children. I just want to say what you're doing is great, and you're a great mother. Sounds like you're a great example for them. And I'm excited to see where God is going to take you and where you're going to land. It's really exciting. And I'm
Mhm.
just overjoyed because you did take the class and because you have put the practical application to work. Because if you don't
Mhm.
put it to work, it won't work for you. So kudos to you
Yes,
and
ma'am.
congratulations.
Thank you. I appreciate it. It's rough.
Yeah.
I have one more quarter left in nursing school, and then I'll be a nurse. And I'm struggling, but I'm keeping faith. I opened up my shop 3 days ago. Was
Oh,
So this is
wow.
my third day working in my own salon. So
Oh,
I'm pretty
wow.
excited. I'm happy. Things are
Yes,
going
it
good
looks
for me.
beautiful.
Thank you.
Good for you.
So Keisha, I know I saw the people in the background. You still doing hair. So I'm going to let you go, but I just wanted to make sure they got a face of what happens when you put in the work.
Okay.
Yes.
Good job. Love you.
I love you
Take
too. You
care.
guys, thanks
See
for having
ya.
me. Bye bye.
Bye. All right. You all see what happens when you put in the work. Um,
Yes.
Again, your where you are does not have to be the end of your story. It does not have to be. As I said before, we can not fit in, we can feel inadequate, we can be inferior, wherever it may come from, whether it was favoritism in the family, whether it was favoritism at school, whether you didn't fit in with the cliques, or you didn't get the promotion, or you didn't get the job, or even during this pandemic right now, we've got people dealing with this pandemic is taking a toll on people's mental, especially in feeling like inadequate, because even on, you know, jobs, you have these jobs where we've let some people go and we've kept others. And they're sitting there wondering, like, well, why me? Why did you keep them, but you didn't keep me? And it begins to play with our mental and thinking that we're not good enough, and that, there's something wrong with me and I don't have enough qualifications and this, that, and the third, when it really has absolutely nothing to do with you and your worthiness and your qualifications, and just everything to do with some numbers. um, and so we have to be able to um, get past those feelings of inadequacy so that we can walk in our greatness, because we were all created for a reason and we all have something great down on the inside of us. But as long as we're feeling inferior to others and comparing ourselves to others and jealous of where they are versus where we are, it can really take a toll on us mentally and emotionally. So I really do thank again Keisha for coming and sharing her story. Because again, I want
Yes.
to give you, you see me, I can tell my story of inadequacy, and you can see where I am right now, of how you can feel one way, but God can change that thing inside of you and
Absolutely.
put you somewhere where other people didn't think you should be. And I've felt like I've needed validation and gone through that whole, again, still not feeling good enough. I went back to college to get my degree because I wanted to feel validated and I wanted my parents to be proud of me, like they were proud of my sisters when they graduated. Because I remember my sisters both graduated from college around the same time. And around that same time, I got a real estate license. They got a party. I got a card and a congratulations. That was crushing to me, because I thought I had really done something great, because I went out and I took this class, I got my license, and I was an investor. I was buying real estate properties. So I was, I owned a business. And that was not, in my eyes, nothing compared to them getting a college degree. And again, I don't think my parents ever meant to make me feel that way, but I kept thinking everything that I was doing was not enough. Everything, getting the real estate license was not enough. Being a real estate investor was not enough. Having an insurance and securities license and being a financial advisor, it just was not enough. Nothing was good enough in measuring up to my sisters who had a degree. So eventually I go back to school to get that degree, because I want to be validated and I want to feel worthy. And I get this degree and find out that degree didn't get me where I thought I was going to go. And the validation I needed never came from the degree or the family, it came from God. And
And
God,
and you were And you got summa cum laude, so there you go.
I did. But when I allow God to validate who I am and
Yes.
validate my identity and begin to
Yes.
realize my purpose of why I was created, then
Yes.
everything else didn't even matter anymore. And I
Right.
and it just didn't make a difference anymore. But blessed be God, he said, you did all these things and I'm still going to use them for your advantage. Right.
Amen. Amen.
So, before we talk about things that you can do to deal with inadequacy, Dion, did you have a story that you wanted to share?
Yeah, I'll share a little story. Last year, and I'm glad you talked about the job because mine, even though I do have some childhood things that we could bring up, or even some things even in a marriage, sometimes have bring inadequacies and things. I'll use the job since I think that's a good place. And during this pandemic, people losing jobs and looking for promotions that they should have had a long time ago, and they
Mm-hmm.
still haven't been chosen. So mine came with a job, and I'd gone to apply for this job, and Apostle Benny had said I was going to wow my husband, and I just knew that I was going to wow him with getting this job and getting this position. It was gonna change the financial status, and finally, I would be on top. So went to the interview. Not only did I have a little degree, and a degree certainly doesn't get it for you. Just so you know, they're good to have, and you should have them. We're not saying not to have the degrees. Please go to school and get your degrees, but they don't define you, nor do they get you to the job that you hope that you would have. So get the degree, please. But even with the degree, even with the years of service, even with the confidence, and even with um, knowing what I know about the job and all the things that I've done to propel me to the next level, it still wasn't good enough. So here we are in the interview, and I'm interviewing. I got all my stuff together. I've been mentored by some of the best people in the company, and they're like, "Yeah, this is solid. Surely you're gonna get this job. We mentored you, and the information that you're given is good. Your resume is good. Everything is great. So it's all a go." So here I am up against two other people, and surely my 5 years of service should speak for something. So we get in the interview, and I'm answering the questions, and my presentation is great. I got my all my information, and I'm confident, and I'm wowing everybody. They're answering questions, asking questions, and I'm answering them, and um, tough questions too. And knowing that I'm suited for this job and can make a difference, I'm right there. I'm at the brink. I'm right there. I can taste it. And then to get a email that says we want to, after all has been done, there's this other guy that he's interviewing. He's only been with the company 11 months, and they select him instead of me. And I get the email, and the email comes, and it says, "Well, we've chosen somebody else. However, we do want to have a meeting with you." Yada yada yada. And then you get in this meeting, and then they try to tear you apart, like everything you did wasn't valid. So you have to deal with the rejection piece of them not picking you, and them not really telling you why. They just trying to tear apart little bitty things, maybe in your resume, or tear apart maybe something that you said, or maybe you misinterpreted it. Not that what you brought to the table wasn't good or wasn't valid, but trying to justify ends to a means. They begin to try to pick you apart so that they can choose somebody else to make them feel better. So then I had to deal with my being vulnerable, because I allowed myself to be vulnerable, and I allowed myself to feel like, I had this in the bag. And then I had to deal with the rejection piece of it, and then still go to work and act like I like y'all when I can't stand y'all guts, because I feel like y'all have done me a disservice and y'all wronged me. And then here you can't even promote him until he's been on a job for 12 months. Because if you promote him too early, you're going to be in trouble because you have to be on the job for a year. And he hasn't even been on the job for a year. So I'm dealing with rejection. Like, why didn't you pick me? Why wasn't I good enough? What was it that wasn't good enough for you? Or what were you looking for that I didn't have or hadn't honed? Because I've honed my skills very well and I take pride in what I do because I'm one of those people that have to investigate, I have to know, I want to be on top. I'm your super person that you come to, everybody comes to, they have a question that need to be answered. I'm your girl. I'm your subject matter expert. I'm one of the longest subject matter experts there, and I'm the person that you call on when you need something. So I'm dealing in all kind of bags right now and all kind of mad. So I'm not gonna talk to none of y'all. Y'all all done with. I'm done with all of y'all. I'm not talking to y'all. Don't ask me for nothing. And as a matter of fact, make your questions quick because I don't want to engage in any conversations with you. And even the big manager that didn't select me, she thought she and I was kind of close. I even stopped talking to her. She would talk to me and I would say as little as possible and walk away. I wanted them to feel my wrath because I felt like they had done me a disservice and they hurt me. And because they hurt me, I had to build a wall because we got to build walls because I can't let you penetrate the wall anymore than you've already penetrated it because I'm already walking in some crazy rejection and some emotional garbage right now because you didn't select me and I was suited for that job. So I had to finally like start praying and asking God, God, help me through this process because this is hard and I have to work with these people. And I don't want to be insubordinate because I'm mad and because I'm angry because they didn't select me. What was wrong with me? What was broken in me that I need to fix that wasn't good enough for them? Because then you start questioning and doubting your own ability and thinking that you're not good enough and
Yeah.
questioning what was wrong with me. Am I broken? Can't they see that I'm the best fit for that job? And then God had to speak to me and let me know that there was something greater on the other side of it. Because when one door is closed, he always has another door that he opens. So I had to start tearing down the emotional walls and not allow it to fester. Because staying emotionally sober is a beast because things happen and they come along and they come to distract you and get you off kilter so that you can go back to emotional uh, I want to say emotional drunkenness because it wants to keep you in that state. It doesn't want you to be free. So to hold on to my sobriety, I had to really pray and ask God, God, help me forgive these people and help me talk to them and be professional with them and still be me because what I didn't want to do is lose me and my identity because I was mad at them and because I wanted them to feel my wrath. So after praying and a lot of time with God, I was able to forgive them for not selecting me and forgive myself for feeling that way about them because sometimes we feel a way about a person. We might not understand why they made the decision that they made or if it was the best decision, but then trying to realize that just because you didn't choose me doesn't mean that I'm not chosen or that I'm not choosable and that I'm not suited for someone. I'm just not suited for you. And I had to come to that. It wasn't an automatic thing. It brings me back to our red box. Sometimes you just have to sit in your stuff and realize that it's okay to have your moment, but don't stay there, don't live there. So I was able to walk through it. Now, they had another opportunity this year for me to apply for the same job, but I chose not to this time. So my husband said, well, is it fear? I said it might be mixed with a little fear, but I just think that I don't need them to validate me. I don't need that job to validate me. I believe that God has something greater for me and is greater than that job. It's going to put me in a box And I don't want to be in a box any longer. I want to be free to do what it is that God wants me to do. And I want the person that wants me to recognize me right away, and I not have to be the second choice or the second pick. I want them to notice me right away and pick me first. So that's just kind of, yeah, just my little story.
Listen, oh my God. So I got a comment, but you made me think of something. All right. So your story resonates with someone who's out there listening to us. PJ Black. He says he had a very similar situation. I was the most pettiest person after the denial. I feel that everything happens for a reason. Maybe the job wasn't right for you. And BJ, listen, that is, you just hit it right on the nail. Okay. And that's sometimes that the reality that we have to come to. And that again, it has nothing to do with us and us not being qualified or being inadequate or anything of the such. It's just that that's not what God has for you. So I'm gonna tell my story real quick, and then we'll start to wrap this up because I'm trying to stick to an hour. But um so my story was, I was on this job, and the manager, I was kind of, I won't tell my title because then people might know. So, but I was a fake assistant manager. And the manager had left. And so, of course, their manager's position is open. And everyone wants me to apply for this job. Like, I want you to be my manager. I want you to be my manager. And I'm like, no, I don't think I want to be a manager because my goal was to go somewhere else in the company. So, but everybody's like, I think you'd be a really good manager, this, that, and the third. Then the director comes to me and she wants me to apply for the job. So now I'm thinking like, okay, you've been here long enough. I think you should apply for the job, this, that, and the third. And I'm thinking I'm a shoo-in. So I go to the interview. I'm thinking I knocked it out the park. And next thing I know, I don't get the job. I'm salty. They done hired somebody else outside the company. And now I'm mad. I probably was a little petty too. Okay. And I'm like pissed because y'all didn't give me this job. Y'all the one told me to apply for the job. And then now y'all gonna put somebody else here and then had the nerves to tell me I could learn something from her. So that right there just ticked me off. And I'm like, she can't teach me nothing. Like, I don't even know the lady, but in my mind, she better not even come in here trying to tell me anything, right? And so I went to the director because can you tell me what was it that, why I didn't get it? And she had this list of all these things. I mean, really trying to knock my ego down. And that just made me even more upset. Like, for real, that's what you got for me? That's how you coming for me? Like, I mean, when I tell you pissed and petty, pissed, PP, pissed and petty. Okay. And so needless to say, it didn't go down well. I ended up leaving that position and going somewhere else in the company. Now, years later, the job comes up again, and all of those people that was there are now gone. All of the people that was dogging me out, talking about me behind my back, trying to get me fired, they're no longer around. I'm thinking, here's my opportunity. Let me go reclaim what was mine. This was
What
supposed
should
to
have
be
been
my
mine?
job, right? I'm reclaiming my time. So anyway, I go to apply for the job, but I'm kind of not sure that I even really want the job. I think it was still more of an ego thing. My ego saying I should have had that job in the first place. So now I'm gonna go back and get it. And y'all, I didn't get the job. But it's okay. Because even before I didn't get the job, because they didn't even look at me. Okay, they didn't even. I don't even think they even looked at my resume or anything. But before I even got sorry, we picked somebody else. Try another day. I kind of already had that feeling, and I heard God telling me, you're not going to get that job because that's not where I want you to go, because I need you to concentrate on what I told you to do. Right. And it was a hard pill to swallow. I cried, y'all. I cried. I was in my kitchen. I cried. Oh my God. I boo-hooed. I boo-hooed. But the reality was the job was not for me, period. That was not for me. It was not where I was supposed to go. And me not getting that job had absolutely nothing to do with whether or not I could do that job. Because if I had to do that job, I could have did that job. But that's not where God wanted to take me, period. And, sometimes we got to accept that and know that it's not us. God has a different plan. And you need to get your plan aligned with his plan, because you're not getting that job. You got to ask him, okay, God, then what's the plan? What is it that you want me to do? That's just not what he wanted me to do. Because the truth, God honest truth, sometimes those denials are blessings, because I didn't go back. Oh, I didn't get the job. Somebody that I used to work with, they went back to the department to only find out that that place was a hot mess. Things was difficult. People were difficult to work with. It just was a mess, and it really wouldn't have been good for me. And my thing was, I was tired of getting these jobs where I am cleaning up other people's mess. And if I had got that manager's position, I'd have been cleaning up somebody else's mess. And I ain't got time for that. And the stuff that was going down in that department, and it still was cut through. That wasn't for me. So it was a blessing. Sometimes we gotta know these no's are blessings. When we've been let go, it's because I've been let go of a job before. It's a blessing. Sometimes God has lets things happen because he wants us to move and we're not moving. Like, I've had a job where I was let go. They did not renew my contract. Now, them not renewing my contract was out of some, I think, pettiness and, some misunderstandings and disagreements, but neither here nor there. It ended up being a blessing for me because it was time to go. It had been time for me to go, y'all, and I got comfortable, and I was putting up with the mess that was keeping me from doing what I need to do. It was keeping me from moving forward in my career, because I was getting too comfortable and complacent with that money that was coming, not realizing that God had something greater for me. And so he had to say, okay, you ain't moving, I'm gonna move you. I'm gonna make you move. Sometimes God will make you move. All right. So listen, I have only one thing to tell you all, that if you feel like you have been overlooked, you are the underdog, you are inferior, you don't fit in, you got to ask yourself why. Because there's something about you that needs to come out to bless some other people. All right. And then we got to start looking within. And so there's this list of what you can do to build your self-esteem. And when I look at that list, it all boils down to one word. One word. And we need to reclaim your identity. I know that's kind of like, what? Yes. God created us for a reason. He's given us all our personalities, our characteristics, our abilities, our talents, our gifts, what we value, what's down on the inside of us. And we have lost our way because we're so busy feeling like we don't measure up. We're so busy feeling like we're inadequate. We're so busy feeling like, we're different from everyone else. And you are, and you're supposed to be. But the question is, why are you supposed to be? Why are you supposed to be standing out from the crowd? I was never meant to be part of the crowd, because God had something different. So he's chosen you, and he separates his people, right? And he'll separate you so that he can shape and mold you, and he can prepare you. He doesn't want all these things that's going on around you to take away from what he's trying to do with your life. That's why you are separated. That's why you are put apart. That's why you are unique. But you got to find out why you're unique, and what you're supposed to do with that. And the only way to do that is to reclaim the identity that God originally gave you, because we are born in his likeness and his image. And somewhere between birth and where you are right now, we done our culture, our nations, our societies, our religion, our parents, our school educations, everything, TV, music, all of these things has now shaped your identity. And some of it has taken us away from God's original plan for you. And so that's why I say you got to reclaim. You got to go back and reclaim that thing, reclaim what it is that he has for you. And when you reclaim who you are, you know who you are, right? You've taken stock in who you are, then that's when you'll begin to know your value. That's when you'll begin to build your self esteem. That's when you will begin to be independent of everyone else, independent in your thinking. That's when you'll begin to trust in yourself. That's when you'll begin to realize what your purpose is. And it all is birthed out of reclaiming your identity, knowing who you are. I hope this is making sense to you all that are listening to me. Because if you want to be confident, and if you want to trust yourself, and if you want to know what you're supposed to be doing, and if you want to know your purpose, if you want to know why you're unique, if you want to know why you don't fit in, it's because you got to get to know who you are. Who you are, what is your abilities, your talents, your gifts, your values, your characteristics, all these things that make up who you are. You got to take stock and inventory of you, and so that you can know there's a reason. A lot of great things was built off of people who were not like everyone else. Some of the most common ones, you've got what, Mark Zuckerberg, is that his name, for Facebook? Mark Zuckerberg was not, he's clearly didn't fit in. He clearly was not, you know, the swag on the college he didn't have that swag on the college campus, but he was a brain. He has something down on the inside of him that God was then able for him to create Facebook, which is one of the biggest social media platforms that we have today. You got Bill Gates. We know he don't fit in. All right. He drops out of college and he starts Microsoft. Um, it's probably all kind of Prince, great old Prince. I love me some Prince. Minneapolis till I die. All right. But Prince, he was different. He was different. He definitely did not fit in, and he was so shy. And the musical talent that came out of that man, right? We have to know, y'all have to know out there. If y'all don't get anything else from what I say tonight, please know there is some greatness down on the inside of you. You got to discover what that thing is. Quit worrying about what other people are doing with their lives and worry about what God wants you to do with your life. If you're not feeling like you don't measure up, because you're not supposed to measure up. You're not supposed to. Let's reclaim our identity, figure out who we are so that we can walk in our purpose and live life abundantly. All right, that is my lecture. Dion, you got some closing thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, you said a lot. And just know that just because someone didn't choose you, and just because you're not their choice, doesn't mean that you're not chosen. God chooses us for many different reasons, and he fashions us to do what it is that we're supposed to do. We just have to take account of what he's saying and do what it is that God desires for us to do. And it's okay. It doesn't mean that we're less than. And my favorite saying is, we teach who we are. If you don't like what you teach, you have the opportunity to change it. This is your opportunity to change it as you reclaim your identity and as you understand who you are, as you unbecome and become who it is that God has made you to be, and be okay in your skin. It is okay that you're different and that you do things differently. We all should be, and we all should ascribe to do something different and to be great in our own rights. Have a great night, and thank you so much for allowing us this opportunity to come before you this evening.
Yes. And before we go, I just want to let everyone out there know that, again, we are here to help people heal from their past so that they can be free to
Yes.
discover their purpose and live their life abundantly. We teach you. Okay. That's what we're here to do. You having feelings of inadequacy, you feel inferior, you're feeling less than, you're feeling a little fearful about who you are and what you can accomplish and don't really know that you can do it, then we're here. We're here to help you reclaim your identity. So I would love to help people walk them through the process of reclaiming their identity so that they can build that confidence and know what they were created to do here on earth so that you can walk in your purpose. So please, if you're watching this, we do offer classes and we'd love for you to join us in being able to reclaim your identity. So reach out to us so that we can get you enrolled into class and into one of our identity classes.
And let
All
me
right.
say this before we go, Angelina. If you're
Uh-huh.
struggling, don't struggle alone. We're
Don't
here to
suffer in
help you.
silence.
Don't suffer in
Mhm.
silence. Don't struggle. If you need some help, reach out to us. Angelina's here. I'm here. Reach out to us. Reach out to us on Facebook. Whatever you need, that's why we're here. We're not just doing it just to have a show. We're doing it because we recognize that there's a need and there's no need to suffer in silence. We're here for you.
Yeah, we're not here just to be talking to ourselves. Like we really genuinely want to help you. So reach out to us. We have classes that we offer that we can get you enrolled in and help you again reclaim your identity, figure out your purpose, get some healing from those things that are hurting you. Look for that coming soon. We have a class coming soon on healing to be so that you can be emotionally healthy, mentally healthy, spiritually healthy. All right? So reach out to us if you fit any of these categories, we're here for you. All right. So we're going to sign off. As always, be unbothered.
Yes, unbothered. Peace.
You all happy sweetest day. I'm gonna give a shout out to my
On
boo,
mine.
my boo Doug Watkins. Happy sweetest day, and happy sweetest day to you all out there watching us as well. I
And
hope you've been
happy sweetest day to my boo, Jim Coast.
yeah.
Nikki. Yay. Eh.
So I hope you're enjoying your sweetest day and you're all snuggled up with your boo. So you enjoy the rest of your evening and thank you for tuning in. You all have a good one.